So the first season of Percy Jackson and the Olympians has come and gone, and overall I liked it, but I thought it would be fun to take a step back and revisit Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. You know, this film I love, I think. I definitely have a fondness for it. It's very nostalgic for me. It came out in 2010. I saw it in 2010. I was 10 years old. I grew up with this film. I saw this film so many times. I used to watch this film on my mum's iPod, like, all the time. Bear in mind, the iPod screen was, like, this long. Like, I used to just, like, sit down and watch Percy Jackson the Lightning Thief like this, like, all the time. I loved this film. And so I thought it would be fun to just go back and revisit it because, hey, I love Percy Jackson. I really like this film. I enjoyed the show. And I also think it'll be fun to compare the show and the film as we're going through it and how they both are good and bad adaptations or whatever. So without further ado, let's get into this. Okay, so right off the bat, if you're a fan of the books, you have so many questions. Like, one, where is the mist? Is the mist infect? Are these mortals genuinely seeing Poseidon rise out of the sea? Two, if the mortals can see Poseidon coming out of the sea, then why are they not being vaporized on the spot? Because, you know, that's like a thing when a god's in their godly form, mortals can't look upon them or they will die. So, like, what's going on here? Or three, it just seems like the screenwriters just, like, didn't read the books. Or they did, but they didn't. Like, it's so weird. We'll get into it.
Zeus. Poseidon.
So the gods meeting in their mortal forms is kind of lackluster in the sense of their clothing choices, because in the book, Rick Riordan was very specific in terms of the clothing choices for the gods. Poseidon always walked around in fisherman's garb, or he'd wear like a Hawaiian shirt, and Zeus would always be dressed in a three-piece suit. Here, Zeus is fairly accurate in terms of his costume design. Poseidon is far off. Poseidon looks like some guy in his 30s just walking around in a hoodie and a jacket. That being said though, I do like the casting choice for Poseidon and of Zeus. I mean, come on. It's Sean Bean. That's Ned Stark right there. That's Boromir. That's also Odysseus if you've seen Troy. I feel like that's got to be intentional, right? Like, you don't get Sean Bean without realizing that he also played Odysseus in Troy. Not to mention the fact that Sean Bean is just like a kick-ass actor. Okay, so that is not a 12-year-old boy like Percy is supposed to be in The Lightning Thief, but Logan Lerman is the spitting image of Percy Jackson. When I think of Percy Jackson, specifically Percy Jackson in the later books like The Last Olympian, Logan Lerman is that image of Percy. I also don't mind that they aged up the kids for the story, like it works for the film, and yes, I can see the arguments as to why they should keep the kids their actual age of 12 because it's supposed to make them dumber and make their narrative feel more, you know, like a fish out of water, but also them kind of like wandering through the streets of the world trying to figure out what to do. But I do feel like you still get that element in the film with them being like 16, 17 years old.
Percy Jackson is a beast!
Percy Jackson is a beast! I think it's pretty obvious to any book fan who knows the character of Grover. Brandon T. Jackson's Grover is nothing like the character from the books, but that being said, he's so entertaining in this film. I love him.
Would someone please explain what Shakespeare was trying to convey in this line from Othello?
I understand the fury in your words, but not your words, Othello. They purposefully picked that out, right? Because of course the word fury is there with Mrs. Dodds because she's a fury. That's a really cool detail. I never noticed that, but now I have. I think that's really cool. Though if I am going to be that nitpicky book fanboy, why is she not wearing her leather jacket? So I don't have dyslexia, but I can imagine that being a good representation of what dyslexia is supposed to look and feel like. So props to the movie, I guess. Unless it's completely wrong, then if you have dyslexia, please let me know in the comments down below, because like that'd be interesting to know if that is a good representation of it.
I think this dyslexia thing is getting worse. I don't know. Maybe it's the ADHD. You know, I thought this school was supposed to make things better. When? Tonight? Tomorrow? When?
God, he's so angsty. He's so moody. Like, I get it. Percy in the books can be angsty and moody, but his whole demeanor is so burdened. Just like, oh man, my life sucks. I'm a loser. I've got ADHD and dyslexia and like, Percy in the books is a motor-mouth hyperactive kid that has ADHD and is just constantly talking. In the movie, he's all just burdened and so heavy and tight. He's also not very funny. That's the thing with Book Percy. Book Percy is funny because he's constantly talking and commenting on things. I really do like Logan Lerman in the role, and I think this element of Percy, this side of Percy, he portrays very well because Percy can be like this. But also, Percy is just fun and bubbly and just like constantly talking and is very hyperactive. I feel like if Logan was given stronger material that was also similar to the books, he could have made a very excellent Percy Jackson.
Woman! Hi, Gabe. Where's my beer?
There he is. There's the superior Gabe. That's smelly Gabe right there. Not whatever they gave us in the Disney Plus show. Like, what was that? What were they thinking? That is just remotely not Gabe. Honestly, the thing with Gabe in the show compared to the film is I don't see anything wrong in the film that you couldn't have in the show. The most violent thing Gabe does to Percy in this film is push him up against the wall. So why couldn't we just have this same characterization, the same demeanor from show Gabe? I don't get it. Also, fun little tidbit about the Sally Jackson actress. She's also in The Adam Project. And if you know of The Adam Project, you know that Walker Scoble, who also plays Percy Jackson in the Disney Plus show, is in that film. So that's kind of a nice little detail and coincidence. This design of the Fury is also like really scary, but like in a cool way. It's not like a terrifying, I can't stand to look at this. This just looks cool. The one in the Disney Plus show looks kind of cartoony. It fits that aesthetic to a point, but I mean, this is kind of just the cooler design.
Release him or I swear I'll tear you to pieces!
Pierce Brosnan as Chiron is so cool. He as Mr. Well, technically he's Mr. Bruner right now, but he's such a good casting choice to play Chiron. Just from the way he delivered that line, that's the guy that trained demigods to become heroes. You know, this is the man that trained Hercules and Achilles and Odysseus and such. Like, yeah, I completely buy this guy being the trainer of demigods. Why did she leave? That was weird. That doesn't... Why did she leave? Why didn't Percy just kill her with the sword? I mean, I get that they were kind of saving the pen sword reveal for later on with the Minotaur fight, but... I don't know, why did she leave?
This is a pen. This is a pen.
Immaculate line delivery from Logan Lerman. That is just so funny. Like, this is a pen. A pen. Ah! No, I'm joking, it doesn't turn into a sword. I wish.
Whoa, whoa! You're half donkey?
I'm half goat.
I used to think this line was like the funniest thing as a kid. Like, it's funny, but I used to think it was the most like hysterical thing ever. I used to be like, ha 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 ha, that's so funny. God, I was stupid.
Mom, what are you doing?
This is as far as I can go. Come on. I can't go through.
Do you know what's the weirdest thing about this film? They established the whole protection barrier around Camp Half-Blood, but they don't explain Talia's tree. Honestly, it's kind of weird. Like, I get it, you don't have to delve into the full story. You can save that for Sea of Monsters. But they don't even mention it, like, at all. Annabeth doesn't mention it, Grover doesn't mention it, Chiron doesn't mention it, Percy doesn't ask why couldn't my mum go through the barrier. They just kind of accept, oh, my mum got kidnapped by the Minotaur and that's it. They don't mention anything to do with Talia's tree and the magical protection. You'd think they would do that in, like, a throwaway line, but no. They didn't do that. I'm not gonna lie, from an aesthetic point of view, the clicky pen version of Riptide is so much cooler than the pen cap version from the book. But that being said, I did read a comment on one of my Percy Jackson videos explaining why Rick decided to have it be a ballpoint pen with a cap. Because at the end of the day, a kid with ADHD would find a clicky pen to be very distracting and they'd constantly be clicking it. Which makes sense, and as soon as someone said that, it like made sense in my brain. I was like, oh yeah, that makes so much sense. I didn't even think of that. But then also, the clicky pen's just the cooler aesthetic. Bit of a non-reaction from Percy after seeing his mother disappear into a weird patch of golden dust. I don't know why, I used to find this scene so cool as a kid. I used to think it was one of the most like thrilling action sequences ever. But I mean, when you break down the fight, all Percy does is a Dark Souls roll. He gets whacked by the Minotaur, drops Riptide, he then gets the horn and then just stabs the Minotaur. I don't know why I thought this was the most like exciting action scene ever. Like, it's fine, but it's not like amazing.
No, 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 no. All of it was real? My mom's gone?
Wow, that was a bit of a non-reaction from Percy. Just like, oh no, my mom's gone. Did that really happen? Like, come on, man, your mom just disappeared. Fun fact, there's an alternate deleted scene of this introduction of Percy Grover, but also Annabeth is in it. And they basically do the thing from the book where Annabeth is just like, you drool in your sleep. They also introduce the concept of things like nectar and ambrosia, which is cool, but like, I don't know why they cut that scene from the film. I guess it's because they wanted to give Annabeth a more like sexy intro or something. That scene was honestly perfectly fine. I don't know why they cut it. I love how lived in Camp Half-Blood feels. There's like constant movement going around. You see people training. It feels more developed than it does in the show, and we spend more time with it in the show.
You're impulsive, Percy. You can't be still. Those are your natural battle reflexes, man.
I love that line delivery. It's so good. You're impulsive, Percy. You can't be still. Those are your natural battle reflexes. I love it. It's so good. Look, Brandon T. Jackson's Grover is nothing like his book counterpart. But at the end of the day, I like him as a character in this film. He's really fun and really entertaining to watch.
She would squash you like a bug.
Her name.
Annabeth, daughter of Athena, the goddess of wisdom.
So, fun fact, Alexandra Daddario was my first celebrity crush as a kid. I mean, it's hard not to fall in love with her. I mean, what's there not to like about her? Dazzling, sparkling, blue, eye. Well,
In my world, I'm known as Chiron.
Pierce Brosnan is really great casting for Chiron. Like, look, the aesthetic of Camp Half-Blood is too ancient Greekified. It doesn't have the quirks of the book like the orange t-shirts. But I like it. Like, generally, this movie is so aesthetically pleasing. It's so gorgeous to look at. Part of that reason is because it's shot on film. Like, Columbus knows how to shoot a film. He knows to get a DP that knows how to make a beautifully looking film. And this film is visually really nice looking. Like, look at the halation and the blooming and the film grain. It's just mwah.
My father's Poseidon.
God of the seas.
You know, here's something that I keep forgetting, and it's the fact that how does Percy and the people at the camp not realize that he's the son of Poseidon much earlier? I might be misremembering, like, I'm pretty sure Chiron and Sally and others did know that he was the son of Poseidon, but I think I'm forgetting something because I don't remember why they don't outwardly just tell Percy that he is the son of Poseidon. Like, is it the fact they have to wait for Poseidon to claim him? Or is it like Chiron doesn't know? I've forgotten. Please let me know, because like I genuinely don't remember why, because it's so obvious. Like, I remember there's this whole section of the book where Percy is wandering around the Hermes cabin just like, I don't know who my dad is, I don't know what I'm even good at, but like, he knows he's good with water. Like, how does he not put two and two together that he is the son of Poseidon? Like, it's so obvious.
I'm Luke, son of Hermes and camp leader.
I don't know why, but it's so obvious from when Luke is introduced that he's the bad guy. I don't know if it's just the actor they've picked or the way he like talks. You just look at him and you go, yeah, he's definitely going to be a bad guy at some point. That being said, though, he is a book accurate casting to play Luke. Like, he just looks like Luke.
I'm coming, buddy, I'm coming. Sons of Ares, watch out. Whoa, that's a sword, that's a sword.
This whole sequence is really fun. Like, I think Columbus does a very good job with the capture the flag sequence. The score's really good, the cinematography is decent, the fight choreography is alright. Like, it's not amazing or anything, but like, yeah, it's pretty cool. Cool in the sense of it's very flashy. Like, a lot of these moves don't make any sense, but hey, it's like flashy to look at. You just see like silver on screen, yeah, it's pretty cool. Again, I used to think this was so cool as a kid. Like, I get why, like, from a cinematography point of view, from a visual standpoint, Columbus is really going in on the hero shots and the slow motion. I get why as a kid I thought it was cool. And now looking at it, it's kind of hokey, it's kind of cheesy, but like, it is still kind of cool. Also, I don't know why the film merged Annabeth and Clarice together. Like, just have Clarice as a separate character. I don't know why they had to merge the two together. I don't know why.
Percy, figured you'd stop by sooner or later. Everybody does.
Okay, so Luke being a gamer makes, like, no sense when you think about the book lore. Like, where is he getting electricity in this camp? But also, he's not supposed to use tech. That's, like, a book thing. Tech attracts monsters. Like, did they even read the books? And look, even though Luke is so obviously evil in this film, I do buy him and Percy's immediate connection and friendship. Luke and Percy have very good chemistry, and that whole capture the flag sequence is very fun. The bit where it's like, that's a sword, and he's looking out for Percy. I buy the connection.
Oh. Flying shoes?
One thing too about this film is the idea of the flying shoes and utilizing it in the action scenes. Like, they're really cool. Yes, it goes against the book lore because in the books, Percy is not allowed to be flying in any sort of way because the air is Zeus's domain, and he's been specifically told by Annabeth that if he flies in Zeus's domain, he's more likely to be a target for Zeus. But in terms of it being a device for the film to create cool looking action scenes, I really like the shoes. This film's also kind of one of the reasons why I bought a pair of Converse. Like, they're just cool. Especially like if they had wings on them. Maya. No, I'm joking, that doesn't work. I also really like Luke's shield in this film, the way it forms, like it does like the full-on like 360 spin. It's really cool. It reminds me of the shield watch that Tyson makes for Percy in Battle of the Labyrinth, which then begs the question as to whether or not the writers of the film actually did read the books, or if someone just told them about that because they needed a cool gadget for the film. Like, if you've read that far into the book series, how do you pick out Tyson's shield, but you don't pick out other details like Kronos?
You see my dad on the highway to hell? Kick his ass for me.
Also, Highway to Hell is a great song choice. Like, it fits. That's what I like a lot about this film, is that it is stylish. That's one thing I'll say about this film, is that it's very stylish. I like the cinematography, I like the editing, I like its use of song choices. Like, to quote Harry Styles, this feels like a movie. Like a movie.
Check this out. He's just like my Uncle Ferdinand.
That's a weird way to act and behave when you've just discovered that your uncle has been killed by Medusa. He's all like, hey, my uncle died. Wait, he died?
Don't look into this.
I really like Uma Thurman as Medusa. I think she really brings that seductive nature, but also that scary quality to the character of Medusa. Also, visually, the snake hair is big, it's wild, it's moving, it's dynamic. It's so cool.
Let me see your eyes. I hear they're bluer than the Circassian sea. Such beauty to destroy. Such young and handsome face.
Medusa, you're like thousands of years old, and this is a 16-year-old boy. What are you doing?
That's nasty.
Stop flirting with him. Percy, cut off her head.
Heads up.
Also, the Pearls Fetch quest is like not really a thing from the book. Percy is given to them by the Nymph of the Sea, so I don't know what the film is doing in terms of adapting the book. Like, it's doing it, but it's not doing it. It's weird because I'll say this, the film captures the spirit of the book, even though it's not a one-to-one adaptation. Like, it really does just dig into the idea that this is a road trip action-adventure film with Greek mythology.
Guys, I can't pee with her watching me.
Again, that's another line that I just thought was absolutely hysterical as a kid, and it's still funny now. I love it. I can't pee with her watching me. This movie is so quotable, I swear.
It's gonna take some practice.
Okay. I got this.
It's gonna take some practice!
Again, this is just fun and entertaining and thrilling. Like, this is a really well-directed movie. In terms of, like, action, adventure, fantasy, this is a good film. I enjoy this a lot. You feel the whimsy, you feel the adventure. The idea of the winged shoes is really cool, and Columbus really takes advantage of it. You know, I'm curious, why did they use the Hydra in this film? Because the Hydra doesn't appear in this book at all. Like, why didn't they just use the Chimera? Did they just use the Hydra because it's one of the more popular Greek monsters, but also, did they just want to reference Disney's Hercules? Because this sequence is literally just the same sequence from Disney's Hercules where Hercules fights the Hydra. Don't get me wrong, it looks nice. From a cinematography and a visual effects point of view, it's so cool. But also, can we just take a moment to appreciate the visual effects? Like, this thing is like almost 14 years old, and it looks really good. It looks better than most of the visual effects in the Percy Jackson show.
We interrupt our regularly scheduled programming for this special report.
You know what, as a book fan, I look at this shot and I go, they're in the diner. Come on, where is Ares? Where is Jason Momoa showing up as Ares? I mean, Jason Momoa is like my fan cast for Ares. Like, that would have been like so perfect. But it's like, they're literally in the diner. Ares can show up. I don't get why Ares doesn't show up and why he's not involved in the film at all. As a book fan, I can see why it would be so puzzling to watch this film and be like, where's Ares? Like, he's supposed to be in this. Where is he?
There it is. Lotus Casino.
Right, I'm gonna say this now. This film adapts the Lotus Casino sequence so much better than the show does. It's not even funny. Like, the way the Disney Plus show tones down the Lotus Casino sequence is just, I don't get it. It is very baffling to me. Like, they walk in and they're just like, oh, here's the trap. Let's not fall for the trap. But they end up falling for the trap anyways because it's being pumped into the air. Like, yes, the film sexes up the Lotus Casino sequence by having them go clubbing and gambling and such, but if that's the case, then why did Rick originally write the Lotus Casino as a casino? Now, granted, the casino isn't as mature in the book. In the book, it's more kind of like a indoor theme park. Like, there is like gambling tables, but for the most part, it is just like a glorified indoor theme park. Like, it's a thing where kids would walk in and get ensnared in the trap and they'd want to stay forever by playing a bunch of video games or, you know, riding roller coasters and such. But like, even the movie adapts this. Like, you look at it and there is the scene where they're looking around and there's like roller coasters and such. So you can't really defend the change from the show. Do you know how in my review for Percy Jackson Season 1 I kept saying that there wasn't any filmmaking sauce? When you look at this film, this has the sauce. Like, this is so stylish and out of the blue, and it's just like, why wasn't this in the show? Why didn't we have more creative ideas like this in the show? There are so many ideas and possibilities that as a filmmaker you could do when adapting the Lotus Casino, and the show does it in the most like stale, bland, and boring way.
Your timing is terrible, okay? Dude, we heading to the chapel. We getting married.
Romantic.
No.
I mean, yeah, this is them technically over-sexualizing the Lotus Casino sequence, but like, it makes sense. They're in a casino, they're in Vegas, and they're all like relatively like 16, 17, 18 in the film. This is where your adaptational changes to fit a medium has to come into play. Like, for the film, I'm not talking about the story, I'm talking about for the film. Them aging up the characters to like 16, 17, 18, and them going to Vegas, it works and makes more sense because this is how 17, 18, 19-year-olds would act when they go to Vegas. Also, Rick Riordan has a problem with Poker Face, but Dua Lipa's Starlight is like the same song. Like, what is the problem here?
The living are not permitted here. Die and come back.
Okay, so fun thing about Charon here, he's also Procrustes in the Disney Plus show, which I think is really cool. Like, I've seen this film so many times so that when I watched the episode in Percy Jackson when Krusty shows up, I was like, no, wait, is that Charon from the movie? Like, he's Procrustes? It blew my mind, and I love that so much. Can't just die and come back. As a visual representation of the River Styx, I think this film makes it so cool looking. Like, that is really cool, the idea of, like, lost memories and stuff floating about. It's really cool. Okay, so Persephone. Persephone is an interesting thing because I didn't realize this as a kid, but this is summertime. The deadline for the trio to return the Master Bolt is the summer solstice, which then means that it's summer. So what is Persephone doing in the underworld during the summer? That's like the whole point. She's not supposed to be here during the summer. Like, what are you doing, movie? Do you even know Greek mythology?
Welcome.
Okay, so Steve Coogan I think is perfectly fine as Hades, but I don't love his outfit. But compare him to the Disney Plus Hades, I buy him much more as Hades because he has like some semblance of gravitas. Show Hades just shows up in a bathrobe and it's just like, hey, what's up? I'm Lord of the Underworld, I'm Hades. No. It felt like the show was taking more inspiration from James Woods' Hades than, say, actual Hades from the book and from Greek mythology. The key difference being that Hades in the show is just not as charismatic as James Woods' Hades from the classic Hercules animated film. Again, the ideas of the story of like, oh, the Master Bolt is inside Luke's shield. Like, it is the thing from the book, but it's also not. It's one of those weird adaptational changes to where, like, the film is loosely following the plot of the book, but then you have to look at the term loosely because, yeah, this is, like, nothing like the book. Also, there's no oracle in this film, there's no prophecy, so, like, they just go through these motions of events, but there's nothing really tying it all together. You will be betrayed by one who calls you friend, or you will fail to save what matters most in the end and such. Like, it's not really in the film.
I can't let you take that bolt to Olympus. I'm the lightning thief.
Look, say what you want about Luke revealing himself as the traitor super early on in this fight between him and Percy. Overall, in terms of this being a action sequence and a climax to a film, it's pretty entertaining. The camera work is really inventive. The idea of the flying shoes comes into play again. And the way it's shot, it's so thrilling. It's really exciting. But then also, you do have to wonder as like a mortal watching all this, like, what are they seeing? Because the film hasn't established the myth. So they're genuinely just seeing two guys flying around shooting lightning at each other. Also, you can tell that Christopher Columbus directed this because this bit where Luke and Percy go into the building feels so much like the bit in Chamber of Secrets where Harry and Malfoy are like flying through the Quidditch stands. Visually, that's pretty cool. It's pretty epic. Like, it's really well directed.
Yeah. I think I am the son of Poseidon.
In terms of like action movie one-liners, it's pretty cool. I respect that. I think that's really well done. Yeah, I think I am the son of Poseidon. The thing is, as a kid, that confused me was like, I thought Luke was dead. I was like, how are they going to do the rest of the books if, you know, Percy's killed Luke? But then I'm guessing like the water trident, like only the tip like hit Luke's throat and like the momentum carried him back or something. But I don't know. How did Luke survive that? Oh wait, no, in Sea of Monsters, he's all like, oh, never try and kill a demigod that can swim or whatever.
My name is Percy Jackson, and I think you might be looking for this.
Visually, I've got no complaints with Olympus. It's really grand, it's really epic, it feels Greek-inspired, like, it's pretty cool looking. There is an epicness to it, like, yes, they don't have the characteristics or the personality of the book gods with their different style of clothing, but in terms of buying into the ancient Greek mythological world, you buy it. They're all dressed in like ceremonial armor. It looks cool. Visually, it's really stunning.
I got my horns.
Oh, I see. I've seen them the whole time. Look at that thing.
Funny, it's almost like Grover should have had these the whole film.
Whoa, whoa, wait.
First rule of battle strategy. Don't ever let your opponent distract you.
I don't blame you, Percy. I would have done the same. One thing I need to mention too about this film is that the score is really well done. And fun fact, this film is scored and composed by Christoph Beck. You'll most likely recognize the name because he composed Frozen, he also composed the Ant-Man theme and the Ant-Man and the Wasp theme. Like, he's a good composer, and finding out that he scored the Percy Jackson film, that's really cool. I really like the score for this film. It's so, like, iconic and, like, memorable to me.
I need a beer.
See, them killing Gabe in the film just feels more justified because he's just an asshole. Characteristically, he's not a nice person, and you can assume the fact that he's hit Sally in the past. Unlike in the show where Gabe is just some loser that just happens to get killed by Medusa. No, it doesn't work. But overall, that was Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. I really enjoy this film. Like, look, as an adaptation, it's not perfect, but overall, as a film, as a piece of entertainment, as just a thing to just like turn on and watch and enjoy, it's enjoyable. I think it's really well directed. It looks stunning. I really like it. There's just something about it that feels like a film, you know? Like there's a real director behind this. It looks nice. It looks relatively high budget. It looks cinematic. It looks great. Maybe there is some childhood nostalgia bias here, but if that's the case, then I guess then I'll have to live with that because, look, I enjoy this film. Taking the books aside, the film is kind of great. Like, show this to any 10-year-old and tell me they will not be entertained by this film. This film is just so cool. I owe this film a fair bit. Like, this film got me into the Percy Jackson book series. It got me into Greek mythology. I love it. And yeah, as an action fantasy film, it's really good. I really enjoy it. It's really good fun. But those are my thoughts on Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. I kind of love it. But what do you guys think about the film? Let me know in the comments down below. Like, subscribe, follow on social media, all that good stuff. Until we meet again, see you guys next time.